Hello there, and welcome to episode 32 of Colonization Project. We start today's episode off by sending the crew of Opportunity back to Kerbin. Originally, they did have a bit of time left at Ike. However, when I installed Galaxies Unbound, apparently the position of all the planets just changed randomly. So now we have a transfer window back to Kerbin, so we will take advantage of that and send the crew back as quickly as possible. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. We're getting a bit of a, not gravity assist, but we're using gravity to our advantage by using, we're not just escaping straight from Mike, we're going into an elliptical orbit of Duna. Because, we do have quite a bit of fuel left. We have like over half of our fuel left. So yeah, fuel isn't really much of an issue right now, especially because we don't have that lander on board. This crew will not have the same problem as Sunset Star, and we will not have to send a rescue mission. Hopefully. Also, the labs aren't actually researching anything because we don't actually have enough electric charge to research anything. The solar panels can provide enough for the labs as well as the life support, and we kind of want the life support. So yeah, we'll research the data later. Anyways, right now we are launching. I have no idea. Oh, I know what this is. This is a Jool Moons hopper. It will be going to Bop and Pull. It's going to be nuclear powered, of course, because I like that efficient propulsion. It might, at the end, it might have enough thrust to land on Val, but fully fueled, it definitely doesn't have enough thrust to land on Val. But we will be going to Bop and Pull. And I don't know what we'll do with that afterwards. Maybe we'll just leave it there. We probably will. But anyway, so getting into orbit, I did make a few modifications to the Sarnis. It now uses better landing legs because the old landing legs, they you kind of have to, when I'm recovering them with FMRS and Kerbal construction time, the Falcon 9 landing legs don't really work all too well. They sort of like get clipped into the main fuel tank. So I'm just using these because we don't have to replace them every launch. Bring down the sort of time in between flights. It's always good. Once again, I forgot to recover the previous booster, so yeah, I should probably get better at that so we don't actually accidentally have one booster landing on top of the other, because probably wouldn't be very good for the other booster. The engine we're using for the main space probe is the same engine we used to use for the old Horizons probe, but as you can see, we did fix most of the issues with it. So we can use it now. However, it doesn't have the best thrust to weight ratio. So we do have to perform a quite lengthy escape burn. We're taking him not extremely fast, but also not extremely slow trajectory out there. It's not like, what was that? The Enceladus? No. The Tethys space plane. It's not like that where we're fully escaping out of the solar system. But Jool is also a bit closer, so it won't take that long to get there. Our next launch of this episode will feature a Leviathan. We are launching a brand new space station into orbit. I thought I might get that nice, cinematic shot of the thing because, I normally speed it down to 1x speed for the launch. Might as well look cool while doing it. This will be a brand new space station, and it will actually be a space hotel. We have a contract to build a space hotel, so we're going to build a space hotel. It's as you can see, we don't actually have a fairing around the payload because, it wouldn't look as nice with the fairing, and the module actually doesn't weigh that much. It actually basically, some of the modules that we will be launching later on are actually heavier than this, but the payload is so uncumbersome, I guess, that we want Leviathan to launch this. The two habitation, I should probably explain what this module is. Well, it's the core module, that's for sure. However, it is also the gravity ring. Yes, we will have two counter-rotating gravity rings. Both of them are using the 5-meter diameter parts, which, it's pretty cool. But yeah, we're just getting into orbit. As you can see, we have more than enough fuel. We probably could have taken this out to Minimus, but I guess the Kerbals don't want to go to Minimus. The contract requires us to put it into a Kerbin orbit. It's also not requiring us to put it into a low Kerbin orbit. We actually need to be above 3.5 thousand kilometers. Wait, no, 350,000 kilometers. 300. What? You'll see it later on. I think it's 350,000 kilometers. No, 350,000 meters. 350,000 kilometers. I don't know where that is, but it's probably really far out. And yeah, we're definitely not going that far up. But yeah, you can see we are getting into that orbit right now. You won't be extending the gravity rings until later. I just wanted to recover the second stage first. But yeah, you can see we can decouple the payload. That's pretty cool. And send the second stage back, because while it's not meant to be recovered, it can be recovered quite easily because we don't actually have to land on land. We can land this in the ocean, and then that's good because it comes out of the ocean. We don't need landing legs for this. So yeah, we actually don't actually need the we can just land it like that. By the way, flawless landing right there. Absolutely no problems with that landing whatsoever. Absolutely wonderful. 10 out of 10 landing. It exploded. Anyways, we are extending the gravity rings right now after I did a bit of configuration editing because I don't like how we require material kits to use the centrifuges. Like, why do you need material kits? You can just inflate it with air and you can just use motors. Yeah, I don't get it. I edited the configuration files because I didn't like that. Anyways, you can see right here, it looks pretty cool. They can also spin because, if you put a giant ring in space, you might as well have it spin so the Kerbals have bones when they get back and not just a pile of jelly on the ground. That would be pretty good. I guess the tourist won't like that. Anyways, after they have spun, the gravity rings have started spinning, we can move on to the next launch, which will be another module. This is basically all this episode is just finishing this orbital hotel. The next module will be, I think, I'm not sure what the next module is, but we're launching this on top of a Titan. Slightly upgraded. First stage doesn't really have too many changes, but the second stage does have some temporary changes to it. And the third stage is completely redesigned. Actually, the first stage doesn't have any changes to it, so not much to talk about there. The third stage is using 3 Rhino engines instead of the old Skipper engines. I will revert that later on because I really didn't see a point in doing so. Also have new landing legs for it because, I'm sort of moving away from the Falcon landing legs because if you remember the last launch of a Titan, the landing legs broke, so we're moving away from those. And the third stage is completely redesigned. It is now fully reusable instead of partially reusable. New landing legs because, we have to reuse it. And it's also using 2 Rhino engines instead of the old, I don't know what engines those were. We also can't recover any of this because the game crashed and FMRS doesn't like it when games crash. In fact, it actually very doesn't like that. Very very doesn't like that. That was perfect grammar. It doesn't like it when the game crashes and just forgets everything because it just doesn't remember. So yeah, we couldn't recover any of that, unfortunately, because the game just doesn't like existing. Anyways, we can rendezvous with the space station. And I can talk about a bit about this module. It is just some more habitation, It's also a sort of observatory deck is what I should say. So it does have a bit of extra habitation in the form of a big crew container, but it also has a bunch of cupola modules and whatchamacallit, those big window things. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're called. I'm just calling them big window things. You may also notice that the RCS thrusters are a bit misaligned. I don't like that. Apparently I just misclicked. But you can see we are docking with the space station. Kind of looks like 2001: A Space Odyssey a little bit, like with the 2 gravity rings. Sort of reminds me of that. I also put this little orbital tug thing. I put it on there for like a kick stage. I'm not sure why I put it on, because the third stage is more than enough to get it into orbit. You can see we have a bunch of leftover fuel. However, that little kick stage there doesn't really do too much. In fact, it doesn't do anything. I just deorbit it in the end. So, we also have them on all the other modules. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's always good to have just a bit of extra fuel just in case the third stage can't do it. But we are landing back at the Kerbal Space Center. And we can reuse that third stage again because, it's pretty cool to reuse the thing. Anyways, the next module will be, I believe, a docking adapter. That's the primary purpose of this is the docking adapter and I think some life support recyclers. So, it's just going to be 4 modules. We could expand on it later, but I don't think we will because the Orbital Hotel can support over 60 Kerbals. And it can do that for quite a while because of all the greenhouses and life support modules we have. So yeah, I don't think it really needs any more expansion unless we are extremely out of money, and we need to send up like 100 tourists up there. But then again, I mean, if we get 100 tourists up there, then I mean they're already up there, so yeah, we don't really need to expand the crew capacity of it. But you know, I do have a bit of I have docking adapters on both ends just in case I do need to expand it. But you can see the module here. We do have some greenhouses at the far end, some docking adapters at the front. Docking adapters will fold out because, you know, it doesn't really look right. Yeah, they're kind of useless in its current state because you can't actually attach anything to them. But, you know, we will eventually fold them out. I actually haven't used robotic parts much in this series. I actually can't remember if I've used them at all. Because I mean, I might have used them like once or twice to like make solar panels or docking adapters unfold. I mean, apart from this mission, of course, like I don't really remember using robotic parts. I mean, we might make use of them in the future. Maybe like make an unfolding rover or something. I don't know. Right now we're just, you know, building a space station. Hopefully we won't forget about this one. I don't think we will because we just keep on getting contracts to send Kerbals up there. Yeah, and if we did forget about it, then well, I mean, we're not really wasting any money doing this because like we get a 600,000 fund reward for building a space hotel. So yeah, I think it pays off quite nicely. You saw there we did manage to recover the first stage. Second stage didn't suffer the same fate. Yeah, it did crash into the ocean. So you also saw there, you may have also saw there that I did replace the Rhino engines with the Skipper engines again because I don't really see a point in redesigning the engines. I mean, the Skipper engines work completely fine. There's really nothing wrong with them. But we have arrived at the Orbital Hotel. I don't really have a name for it at this point. I think I'm just going to keep on calling it the Orbital Hotel because I know very well that if I actually get a name for it, then I'm just going to keep on calling it the Orbital Hotel because it's probably going to be simpler. And, you know, unless I find like an acronym for it, but, you know, I think I'm just going to keep on calling it the Orbital Hotel. It's simple, it works, and I think if you have a bunch of Kerbals saying, I want to go to the Orbital Hotel, most people will know what they're talking about because it's a giant space station. Actually, I think this is the biggest space station I've ever built in Kerbal's space program, although that does no, I do. Although it does really depend on what you consider. No, I'm actually not sure. Well, in this series, this is the largest space station by far. I mean, the only other space station we have is Minimus Orbital Outpost. We're just going to ignore all the ones we don't use, like Space Lab, Star Lab, and the Lunar Gateway. We're not using any of those, so let's just ignore them. I mean, I don't even think they're. I mean, I know they're not as big as this one. And then the Minimus Orbital Hotel is Minimus Orbital Hotel. No, the Minimus Orbital Outpost is definitely not as large as this. So yeah, there will certainly be larger ones. We will have to construct an interstellar spacecraft at some point or another. So yeah. But once again, we are landing back at the Space Center with the third stage. Yep. Pretty standard at this point, you know. After that, I guess we can launch the next module. Once again, this module is about to... I mean, this episode is basically just all building the orbital hotel. We're not doing much other than that, and we're using almost the same rocket for all of these. We probably could have launched the core module on a Titan, but it would look weird. You can also see there that excuse me, that that the Falcon landing legs are back because I loaded an old save of the Titan and I forgot to save the new one, so yeah, I just forgot. It still works fine, you know. I mean, the old one worked fine, so I mean, the new one just does it better. This module will store fertilizer, supplies, electricity, and it will also have the main solar arrays, because the ones on the main station right now they're just as temporary solar arrays to provide it until this module comes up. Not sure why this isn't the core module, but you know, it's not really my problem. I mean, it is my problem because, you know, it's my space program, but you know, we can just I can just blame it on the Kerbal engineers who quote unquote built this thing. But yeah, I'm not sure why this wasn't the core module. But I mean, you know, seeing the big gravity ring is probably a lot cooler than seeing just a cylinder with solar panels. Although, to be fair, the gravity ring is just a cylinder with another cylinder surrounding it with it's a torus, but, you know, it's basically just the same thing. Anyways, we just recovered the first stage. I was trying to land it back on the launch pad. That didn't work. The third stage, as you can see, I'm trying to aim up for like this little piece of land right here. And you know, I mean, you can really land anywhere within reasonable margin with these boosters if you're traveling fast enough and you know how to use the booster as a wing, because really all the trick to landing the boosters is just to use the booster as a wing. Think of it like a giant wing, because that's pretty much how you get the precision landings. You know, I think that's the most accurate way to land the boosters instead of using like our RCS and engines for like every minor correction. Anyways, you can see we do have quite a close intercept of 0.0 kilometers. You might actually be able to... no, you can't. I'm looking at the top to see if you can get a more accurate reading, but I mean, you can see it right there, 23 meters away. So yeah, pretty accurate intercept right there. We're once again just sending the little kick stage back into the atmosphere because, you know, really no point in keeping it up there. It's just blocking the docking port. I actually think this module is heavier than the gravity rings of the station, because, you know, it's carrying all those supplies with it. So I'm not sure why we didn't launch this on like a Titan, but you know, it does its job. Anyways, we can, extend the solar arrays. Send this thing back into the atmosphere and recover the third stage, because it'd be kind of weird to leave these things just like floating outside the station. And I mean, the tourists, they want to see the beautiful views of Kerbin and not a floating piece of space junk right next to the space station. That wouldn't be very cool. Although I'm not sure why we have windows on the centrifuge. When you think about it, if you look out the window, you're just seeing half the time you're seeing Kerbin and half the time you're seeing just empty space. And it's just constantly rotating, so I'm not sure why we have windows on the centrifuge. But maybe they like to have gravity while looking at Kerbin or something else. I don't know. But anyways, that'll be the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.